Hello, I'm Perianne Boring, the founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, the world's leading trade association representing the blockchain technology industry. It's my pleasure to address the Digital Economy Symposium, and I would like to thank New Economy Taxation and the Global Tax Policy Center at Vienna University for your leadership and the important work you are doing in helping the world reimagine taxation in this new, exciting global technology frontier of blockchain. At the Chamber, we have a prolific platform of working groups and initiatives, including our Smart Contracts Alliance, the Digital Assets Accounting Consortium, and the Blockchain Intellectual Property Council, to name a few. Headquartered in Washington, D.C., daily, we are engaging with the public policy community on issues related to blockchain technology. Since our inception 3 years ago, we have met with hundreds of regulators, members of Congress, law enforcement, and government officials about the potential promise of blockchain. What we have come to realize is that blockchain technology has the potential to transform regulatory compliance with better transparency, resiliency, and security. However, for these benefits to be realized, regulators will first have to have an understanding and appreciation of the technology, and that is why the work of the Chamber is so important. I'll admit, when we first got started 3 years ago, it was a bit of an uphill battle because of the industry's reputation, which reflected major news headlines and scandals like Mt. Gox, Silk Road, Liberty Reserve. And this in turn led to a lot of misunderstanding about Bitcoin and blockchain. And the sentiment in Washington was that of fear, anxiety, and skepticism. And all of that had legal and regulatory repercussions, most notably the BitLicense in the state of New York. But also we had a U.S. senator that called for a ban on Bitcoin. And many agencies started issuing warnings about the dangers of this technology. However, we've made a lot of progress. In just the past 12 months, the Chamber has testified in front of U.S. Congress about the benefits of blockchain. We attended the White House's first ever FinTech Forum. We were also invited to attend the Federal Reserve's annual meeting with the IMF and the World Bank to educate central bankers from around the world on blockchain. All of this work has led to many positive developments for the industry. We now have a Congressional Blockchain Caucus. The chair of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen herself, has publicly stated more than once that blockchain is an important technology. And the state of Delaware and the state of Illinois have state-sponsored blockchain initiatives that are looking to implement blockchain technology to transform some of their state's most important functions, from land titling to securities trading, in order to stay competitive in our global economy. You cannot have a sophisticated policy discussion without first addressing regulators' concerns. Now that we have laid the base educational foundation regarding blockchain, we are entering a new phase of our policy work. The United States has the most complicated policy framework in the world. We estimate between federal and state that there's over 100 authorities whose jurisdiction overlaps in financial services related activities. We have a patchwork of regulators across many different stakeholders. Just to name a few, there's the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, who has determined that Bitcoin is a commodity and they're regulating it as such. There's the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is regulating this through their lens of a security through enforcement actions. And then the FinCEN, who's our money laundering regulator, regulates Bitcoin like a currency. And then the IRS taxes it as property. So that was 4 different examples: commodity, security, currency, property, just to name a few. And speaking of the IRS, isn't it weird that they're taxing this as property, especially when FinCEN, which is also part of the Treasury Department, as is the IRS, designated that it would be treated like a currency. Now they call it convertible virtual currency, they won't call it currency, but the treatment is the same. So this is the question that we are posing to our members. It has been over 3 years since the IRS issued this guidance, and we know a lot more about Bitcoin and blockchain than we did back then. And we would like to challenge you all to also think about this question. Bitcoin and other digital tokens are unique in that they can take on a chameleon-like effect depending on how it's used. It can be used as a currency and property. It can also represent both tangible and intangible assets. Does this new digital asset class deserve its own tax policy, or can we fit it into an existing regime? And if so, how do you account for the varying applications of the technology? It's no surprise to me that your meetings this week are being held in Singapore. Singapore is taking a very forward approach to blockchain and fintech in general. Just a few months ago, we hosted executives from the Monetary Authority of Singapore in Washington to meet with our members, and their message to them was, if you're having a hard time going to market in the United States, come to Singapore. We'll provide companies with a competitive advantage by supporting you in your regulatory compliance obligations. As opposed to the United States, where there is little to no programs that allow for regulatory flexibility for the advancement of advanced technical capabilities. And this is the issue that keeps me up at night. Can the United States stay competitive if it doesn't embrace blockchain? And can it even embrace blockchain based on how big and complicated its regulatory structure is? We're already seeing companies and talent leaving the US and going abroad because of these dynamics. I believe that countries that get this right will benefit significantly, and Singapore definitely has a fighting chance at that. In fact, we'll be in Singapore in November attending the Monetary Authority of Singapore's FinTech Festival. We look forward to working with all of you to promote the advancement of digital assets and blockchain-based technologies, and congratulations on yet another highly successful Digital Economy Symposium.